Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Before you get it, baby, show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind. You walk right past me, pretending like you don't see what's yours for the taking tonight. Ooh, show me your soul, baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Can't you see it's way past time? How explicit do I have to be? I mean, I spell it out before you get it, baby. Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine.
It's Friday. I'm so excited that it's Friday, and a holiday Friday at that. It is Friday. Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris. It is the third day of Septiembre for you Espanol speakers. It is also September 3rd for just us regular English-speaking people. So I'm so excited to be here with you today. And why? I'll tell you, it's simple. Because right now, in this very moment, all of us right now are fulfilling one of the greatest promises out there. And that is the one that promises us that where two or more of us come together with a like-mindedness, a oneness, the power of we, wonderful things are bound to happen. And today's no different. You know it's true because that's the bell of purpose. It wouldn't lie to you, and neither would I. The bell of purpose is not a clever gimmick or a prop. It is a true opportunity. Why? Because when I ring that bell, it's because there's some real truth out there. There is a reason we are told that the truth has a ring to it. Can I get an amen? Yes. So I got my intention pen in hand today because this is a great, great day. I have a great guest today through me and not from me. If I could just get it to, that's what it says. You guys have seen it 100 times. And I use this pen with intention because every time we set an intention, we increase the power of purpose. And when you increase the power of purpose, not only do you do everything on purpose, you step forward into everything beyond that moment with even more, what? Purpose. We're on one today, y'all. I feel it in the air. And there's more to come because guess who's here today? Today we have the author of this wonderful book. Look at that. Oh, building your brand to make business happen in a global economy. Think big. How ecosystem thinking can create relevant, customer connected brands by the wonderful, illustrious, I can't even come up with enough of them, but Allison Summers is her name. In changing your business life is her game, and she's here to do just that. So before I bring her in, I think I'm going to get one thing out of the way real quick so we don't have to do it at the bottom of the hour, have more time with the guests. Let's get this product placement out of the way. You listen, I remember when I was drinking Diet Coke at least 3 or 4 a day, I was hitting the power drinks and thought I was doing myself some favors. No, I traded in that thinking for this. V8. This little can is actually 1 full serving of vegetables. It is only 30 calories and it is 100% pure vegetable juice and easy peasy to find. Head down the juice aisle. I find it in my grocer right next to the Kool-Aid juice boxes. Go figure. But there it is anyway. Also, as spice is what you need in your life, there is a spicy one. Try it. Pop the top and don't say, oh, I could have had a V8. Say, I'm having one. Thank you, V8. So, okay, guess what? It's time. She hasn't been here since prior to COVID. A lot to report on, like we all have. I want you to give a big Friday welcome, a big Bathrobe Moments welcome. Put your hearts on the screen and your hearts into today's illuminated conversation as we promise to fulfill our need to show each other our souls. Let's get together because here she comes, Allison Summers. Hello,
Hey,
Allison Summers.
Lauren.
How are you? Cheers.
Cheers. I am absolutely fabulous. Good to see Lucille this morning.
Oh, yeah. Well, I almost forgot you. Thank you, Allison. This is Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo, for those who have not been here. She's my sidekick. She's my version of Ed McMahon. Thank you. Now, what is that I spy in your hand?
My podcast cup.
Oh, or as in my neck of the woods, here comes you guys in 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Go on with that shameless
Actually,
plug
though,
for that self.
Actually, I have to say, though, this was given to me as a Christmas gift. My daughter gave me a box that had a pillow, a cup, another cup, and literally, Lauren, I cried because it was so unexpected that my daughter would have gone out of the way to give me branded products. I know that sounds crazy, but so yeah, shameless plug, but a lot of heart sentiment.
But you know, kids, they're very clever nowadays. Did you check the bottom of that cup? There's probably a cell phone bill taped to the bottom or something. You know,
I still pay for her iPass. I still pay for her iPass.
I gave you the gift that keeps on giving, right? Your wallet. So anyway, I love your kids. Speaking of, tell everybody about them and where you are in the country. And your kids participated in our COVID special that we had at the front end of COVID, where we had 19 kids from across the country come in, one group at a time, time zone by time zone, sharing how they were feeling at that time. And you're wonderful kids. They're just wonderful and grown so much since then. So tell us about what's been happening in your life since you've been here last.
Yeah, well, let's start with the kids. So I joke, Lauren, and say I've been raising kids for 30 years, like date myself and age myself. But for any listeners that have had kids and then gone back and had more kids, I'm with you. I have an older daughter who's married and off in the city and has a professional career. But at home, I still have a senior and a sophomore in high school. So my big guy is 6'3". He's a big guy now, Lauren.
Wow,
and
he's half that when I saw him last.
Yeah, and
maybe not half, but you know.
No, really, though half, because as you know, and I'll share.
He
with
looks
my
like
listeners,
a junior high schooler, as he was.
I'll share with my listeners. My son has 2 different autoimmune disorders, so he suffers from chronic illness. So to Lauren's point, we literally have I think maybe Lauren, last time you saw him, he literally lost half his body weight over 6 months. He went from 260 pounds to like 130. And we are now at 6'3" and 305 pounds.
Ooh.
So he's a big boy. But I was sharing with Lauren our success is a personal journey. And I think we'll talk about that when we talk about the book and business. Everybody, you can't judge anybody else's life. Success is such a personal journey. And I was sharing that we got notice this week that he graduated from infusions every 6 weeks to every 7 weeks. And that might not sound like a lot, but when you are taking care of somebody with a chronic illness,
Sure.
progress is progress.
Amen to that. Listen, a little bit of something will always bode better than a whole lot of nothing. Can I get an amen, y'all?
Yes.
So I'm happy. Blessings to all of them. And I know it's just going to be a great, great time here today. So Allison, we met. Was it in Vegas first at the Authority Maker Boot Camp?
We actually met in Chicago first at an event, and I had signed up for Authority Maker Boot Camp not knowing who you were, Lauren. And so when I met you at
all the way
Chicago,
in Las Vegas, and here we are in the same town practically.
Yes. And so the thing is we were at this event together in downtown Chicago. I'm like you said, we're both from Chicago, born in Chicago, and happy to be a Chicagoan. And we were at this event where you were speaking, and my friend had convinced me to sign up for Authority Maker Boot Camp. So I didn't really know. I trusted her. And you and I were in the back of the room talking. And I think I suddenly looked at you and must have even put my hand on your chest or your shoulder and said, wait a second, I'm going to your event next week.
Now. And I was like, you are? I didn't think anybody was going to be coming from Chicago to Vegas, but Brian and I. And lo and behold.
Yeah. It was a great time.
It was. And then you were at Power We?
I was.
The very first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we have another one coming up April 28th. Same place at the Stan Mansion. Can't wait.
Lauren, you just give and give and give. You are phenomenal for that.
Well, you have to. When you're poured into every day like I am with all of you and all of you out there, and your blessings are that they're coming through you and not from you. There's just so much overflow. It's not like you have to think about doing that. It creates itself and brings you to it as you bring it to you. That law of attraction that we know and hear so much about. But thank you for that nonetheless. And so I'm really excited today. Let me tell you why I'm excited about this. A lot of people come on, and I talk to a lot of people about a lot of different things. But when it comes to business and stuff, a lot of people right now are searching for ways to almost like, well, a lot of people feel like they have to have a new die or cast or a mold, a new one to make everything they've done fit in it, if that makes any sense. But because I've taken a peek here, you sent me some stuff, and I know you and how you think. And what I love about what you're doing is you make it almost like, how I picture, like what is that? What is that thing that goes like water comes down?
Lazy river?
A luge or a luge. That's
what
a luge.
Oh, a luge.
But I think of Mercury. You know how when Mercury's moving and it touches another like piece, it just all becomes one?
Uh-huh.
The way you explain things just brings you right up, and now it's apart. You don't have to really pour the stuff. It's so much easier.
I try not to be academic at all.
And great education, and that works for me. But even there are people that, because like yourself, very learned, multiple degrees and all that sort of stuff. But what is it you're hearing, and what are you finding when you put your pulse on the business risk today? Just in the United States. Let's just go global, because it's right there on the cover. What do you say, Allison, is the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs right now?
It's a very big question. I think there's a couple different things. One, and I think, Lauren, you'll relate to this because I believe we've had these kind of conversations before, is there's a lot of people out there selling their services, but they're really like skipping stones on water. They don't have that depth behind them that are going to help you, really look at your business in a legitimate way. And that's not to say that they're bad people or that you can't take some piece of knowledge from them. Yeah. But I think that it's this rah-rah that you can do it. I mean, business is hard, and we know that. And I talk a lot about, and I know you're with me, that you have to do affirmations in the morning. Like I tell people when I speak, start your day with 1 minute about what you love about yourself. And it's really hard to, for 1 minute, say things you love about yourself, because as you go through business and you get rejected and people give you conflict and you go through your day, it tears you down. So you've got to start at a pretty solid base. But
And let's just keep it clear real quick. You know I'm gonna butt in. You know I'm known for that.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, no, but I just want to say before somebody starts going, okay, well, I love my shoes. I love my pool. I love that I have my girlfriend Julie. No, about yourself. I love my. Give a couple examples. I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I used to do this exercise with my kids when they were in elementary school. We'd drive to school and we'd all be like, okay, what do you love about yourself today? And it was actually, what do you love? What do you need for the day? What are you going to give to somebody else?
Okay, so you give an example from you, and then I'll give one.
I love that I always try to be better tomorrow than I am today, because I'm a work in progress. And I love that I can forgive myself for things that I was unhappy with yesterday.
Okay, I'm not going to let you can't get away with using that one. I saw that one on Pinterest this morning too, girl. Come on, give me an original. I'm kidding. I did not. I'm kidding. Finish it.
No, I think it's about being real. If you say things like, people put those positive statements off of Pinterest or off of whatever, and if you don't believe them, it creates a conflict in your soul, and you'll always feel less than. So you've got to, again, success is a personal journey. And sometimes I love that I got out of bed and I'm willing to face that day. I love that I'm going to reapproach somebody that I had a conflict with yesterday. Lauren, I originally went to college to be a school teacher, and I ended up falling into business. But one of the things, and I went to school in Oklahoma, and we would go out to the rural areas.
Oklahoma, when the wind comes sweeping down the plain. Sorry. Trigger.
No, but I had a teacher.
That was our senior musical. Sorry.
Oh, well, you can do a whole performance for us, song and dance.
No, unless I'm Isabel Sanford. Come on, I'm a little hoarse. Go on. So
I was taught that you don't have to like a student to love them, because if you're a school teacher, you have a lot of kids that you're like, I don't have to like a student to love them, because my job is to love them forward. And when I went to business, I took that same philosophy with me. You don't have to like people in order to love them or give to them or be grateful. Anyway, I digress a little, because your question was about your affirmations for yourself.
Because I like that. I believe in interactivity. So, and I'm gonna tell you something. You guys, it sounds like that's hard to do, and it kind of is or could be. But when you're really, Shakespeare said it best, to thine own self be true. Like for me, right now, that what I'm loving the most about me right now at 59, just turned 59 on 4th of July, is that I'm okay. I love discovering that I don't know everything. I love when I screw something up, like I burned up the lawn thinking I knew how to fertilizer, drop that stuff. Right. I never read the manuals. And when the thing falls half over a week later, I'm like, I wonder why they gave me 6 extra screws. Right. Because I don't follow. Right. So I'm loving that. And I'm also loving that the aging process is forcing me to do better every day, to look for an E and an R. You start really realizing that you're great the moment you open your eyes after a certain age. It's not out there anywhere. It's just, I'm glad I'm up. I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah. Every
day we're hearing of people that aren't, for whatever reason. And so that's what I love. So let's get into it. We're going to get you guys' taste buds going here, get the juices flowing for the next 10 minutes. And then when we're going to come back from our bottom of the hour break, we're going to shoot straight through. So I want you to start thinking about your own personal challenges. Look at the cover. We're leaving it up there. And I'm interested. Tell us real quick before we really get in. What's this thing at the bottom about ecosystem thinking? What is that?
Well, this goes back to one of my big themes is better business knowledge equals better business results. And I think this is kind of the piece, Lauren, about saying some business coaches, I feel like it's skipping stones. And you have to have this ecosystem around your brand promise. And so I developed this book. I've spent 3 years interviewing people for my podcast, Disruptive CEO Nation, and they're company founders and they are also like business thought leaders. And
Okay.
so you have to have a brand ecosystem. Your brand is not just your logo. We all know this. Your brand has a lot of different variables, but still, I'm an operations person, and you have to make sure you have an ecosystem. So the ecosystem is concept, customers, people, process, money, and then my last one is magic. And so what we say to people, whether you're starting a business or have one, just go around the circle and keep reevaluating. Do I have everything in order in each of these more or less houses? And so again, better business knowledge equals better business results. And the world is changing so fast. I interviewed somebody yesterday who was a part of the tech accelerator that Dollar Shave Club went to. And he actually said when Dollar Shave Club, and we all know those story, how they just blew up on social media, and then they were purchased for billions of dollars from Unilever. He actually said that if Dollar Shave Club were to take the same strategy and launch it today in the same way, it would not happen because the market is so cluttered. So everybody has to keep figuring out how to get the job done.
So you got some pretty big words up there when you think global economy and ecosystem thinking. Most of us sitting in our homes or wherever we're doing our thing from as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. I want to know when you speak to global, and even with this ecosystem thinking piece, is that through a social media or an electronic lens only? I mean, as far as Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, is that the lens that you're talking about, or is global even more than that?
It's both. There's a couple different layers to it. So one, I just don't want people to limit their thinking, because you might say, well, I've got a storefront, I'm not I don't have the biggest disruptor business, but I have my business. And you never know, your best clients could be in Poland and you just don't know it. So what we want people to do is just not, limit your thinking, because we live in a world where you don't have to. I mean, Lauren, you have contacts all over the world, as I do. And it's just so delightful. And some of the people I interview might say, we talk about distributed workforce, which is just another word for virtual. Everybody's virtual. And one company founder I interviewed, he said, we have 12 employees and they're located in 11 countries, but they are the best people for the job because of the knowledge they have. And so we just want people to think, you might find a great business partner that's a yin and a yang, because you don't have to do everything yourself. That could be someplace else in the world. So there's a chapter in the book that talks about how to expand your thinking, like join networking groups that have people in other countries, connect with people on LinkedIn that are in other countries, because you might find that spark of magic or idea from someplace else that you never even thought. And so that's the idea of thinking global. And there's more to it, but it's just this idea of don't limit your thinking.
Don't limit your thinking. So let's throw this little tongue twister out there, if I could. So let's say I'm a local lawn service. Am I still invited to glean from this book?
Absolutely, because this book is a mix of information from me, and then it is interviews. It's actual interview transcripts taken from the podcast of different people. And Lauren, if you have an open mind, it doesn't matter what the business is.
Right.
You can think about it. So like one of the small stories in there is is about 1-800-JUNK, and which is an incredible brand marketing story. And this guy the CEO is so passionate about what he does.
Wow.
So if you think about I own a lawn service, maybe that's one aspect of your revenue stream. I have a cat that is a kitten that just made a big crash in the first floor of the house. Don't know if you heard it. I did. But here's a great example of a story in the book that I just love. Is I interviewed the founder of Drag Taste, which is in Portugal, which is
Race.
Drag Taste.
You know RuPaul?
No.
Did you hear that, Pride Bear? Harper and Allie knows RuPaul. Kiss. Okay, go on. Tell us about it. Have you
No,
ever been
this
to
is the
show?
founder of Drag Taste.
Oh, Drag Taste.
Drag Taste, and it is a drag queen cooking experience. And
It
they're
is
in Portugal.
Wait. Back up a little. It is a what cooking experience?
A drag queen cooking experience.
Oh, it really does. It is tied to drag queens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's a wonderful story. So if you had limited thinking and say they are in Portugal and they have their big piece, I mean, you'd love it. Their chandelier in their place in Portugal is 250 red high-heeled shoes hanging from the ceiling. And everybody that comes gets dressed up as drag queens. So half cook, will half get made up, and then they switch, and then they have a giant banquet together. So this is a very in-person, hands-on experience.
This ain't really like a whole bunch of swingers and stuff, right?
No. And it's all.
I'm just kidding. It's Friday.
It's Friday. Yeah. But here's the thing is that if he stopped there when COVID hit, they would have had no business. And they took their entire business and figured out how to reinvent it. And then they moved to Airbnb experiences, which if your listeners haven't ever looked at Airbnb experiences, it's quite an interesting way to shake things up and find a new way to make revenue. So they reinvented themselves, and they put a thing on Airbnb experiences called Sangria Secrets with Drag Queens. And it was so popular.
I saw that.
It is so popular that they've had to train more people how to do it. And they literally run it almost all day long for all time zones in the world. And
it's all virtual.
And it's all virtual.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they're very interactive about it. But if they would have thought small, like, well, we have 4 walls, our restaurant had to close, they wouldn't have found these other opportunities. Now, maybe the lawn care guy can't do that kind of thing, but maybe he can do other things, such as,
because it's not about just pushing the lawnmower or riding it. It's about other things around the land. They know all kinds of things about when to mulch, get somebody to do this. Here's how, if you want to do this at home, or don't try this at home. That's what they needed for me, so I wouldn't have burned my yard up. So I get it. That's why I use that analogy. So before we go to break real quick in about a minute, let me ask you this. So are you saying, let me make it clear, we want to make sure before we go to break, so you guys can get your questions together or your comments. So this works for products, services, solopreneur. What about nonprofits? Anything in there? Somebody thinking about starting a nonprofit can get out of this?
I don't have a nonprofit, but as you know, Lauren, I'm very passionate about it. And I think that the fundamentals stay the same, right? Because even when you're a nonprofit, we talk about when you start a business, look, people want to buy things that build health, wealth, beauty, happiness. They remove a barrier or a pain point. And so even as long as your nonprofit understands business fundamentals, because nonprofit's a tax code, Lauren, it is not a business model.
Say that one again.
A nonprofit is a tax code, not a business model, So yes, nonprofits can get something out of this as well.
Awesome. Well, we're going to find out what else is inside this great book from our dear friend here, Miss Allison. And when we come back, we're also going to talk about how important is mindset. And if there was one song that all of the stories in this book sang, what would that song be? What would it sound like? Think about that.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you. Giving you some time to think about it. We'll be right back. Don't you dare go away. Great time to share this broadcast out, pay it forward, and get it back in tons of ways. Be right back. Don't go away.
Except I received this insight about a title called Prisoner of War. The book.
Welcome back to the second half of today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris, and we are here today with author, speaker, and all-around great gal, Allison K. Summers. Welcome back, Allison. And, the phone rang while we were on break, and we have a question from a viewer, and she was saying, could you please give her the number of who does the casting for that drag queen cooking thing, because nobody called her and she clearly is not happy. So, Shaquitha, we're going to work on that. What? Okay. I know that. Look, see that you do. So anyway, I'll get that from you in the green room when we close up here. So Allison, seriously though, back to what we're talking about today. The topic, folks, is building your brand. This new book from Allison K. Summers, where she's going to help us learn how to make business happen in a global economy. So let's talk about that for just a second. Global economy. That means all over the world, but different things are happening in different places. How do we know when to adjust? And where do you go to find that kind of information? Things just changed. Afghanistan, that whole thing. Do we need to know how current events and things like that affect the mindset of everything from spending to decision making and whatnot in our businesses and in our brands?
Absolutely. I think that, one of the things I always say, Lauren, my first book was called Connect to Influence, and it was about networking with an executive mindset. And so I tell people, if you're local, if you walk in a room for an event, find somebody who looks the least like you, because there's going to be something else you're going to learn. And on LinkedIn, it drives me crazy when people are like, I only connect with people that I know. Or, I intentionally try to diversify my LinkedIn network, because whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you hang, Instagram, it's not as fantastic as like, I need to read Wall Street Journal or I need to read New York Times to know what's going on. You get more real information if you have, people telling you what's happening in places in your network. And again, none of us knew what WhatsApp was a few years ago, but WhatsApp was a big thing in Asia before it ever came here. Right. And then, and you think about things like Twitter. I remember, going to date myself, 20 years ago when I first sat in a marketing session and they started talking about this thing called Twitter, that you connect with people and say good morning in the morning and how you're doing. And that's what Twitter was. But, if you had not today. So you have to kind of hear these things that are happening, because people use WhatsApp for business now. They use things in different ways. And like, TikTok, same thing. How many of us, when it first came out, said TikTok, that's not going to have business applications. Right. That's not going to grow my business. So, this, like I said, this global thing doesn't have to be so sophisticated. Like, well, they're,
marketing reports.
Yeah, they've got a PhD.
Pie charts and graphs and.
No, because people know more. Your gut tells you when you're starting to hear trends or hear problems, or you hear of people who have. I love stories about people who disrupt the supply chain, who take out the middleman, who figure out how to go to market and do it differently. And that's why I said in this book, there's stories that might not have anything to do with your industry, but it might give you an idea.
Sure. And that's great. And I love stories. Stories tell it all. People tell stories, but the numbers in our business tell a story too. So I want to segue into a segment. We can play a little game here if you're game, if you're up for it. We call this one Trick or Treat. So I'm going to put a common thought process out there about certain business elements and needs, and you tell us if you say it's a trick or a treat. Ready?
Okay.
Okay, the opening bell. We are on, the floor is open. So I need, Allison, I was told I need a $13,000 website in order to do what your book is proposing and globally thinking with my business. Trick or treat?
Oh, that's a trick.
Oh, how so?
Because there are other platforms and other ways to get things done, depending on where you're at in your business life cycle. I hate to say it, but you can buy a URL through a GoDaddy or whatever your favorite place is, and you can direct it to a Facebook page if you want, if that's the best way for you to get started and grow up. there are places that you can look. $13,000 is so much, but I think even ClickFunnels, which can give you a basic web page as well as your funnel solution, is, I don't know, they have a low cost solution, or they have a $3,000 a year solution. But that's why you need your network, is they can help you. I mean, I was saying to you before we started, I just moved my podcast to a solution called PodPage, and it's like $160 a year. And it's insane, the value that you get for it. So you just need to ask around for what your type of business is. You could buy, if somebody says, I want to have a community, like a private community, and you think you have to pay a lot, there's a source like Mighty Networks. Mighty Networks is a great platform to build a closed community. And if you can't afford the customized URL, like I said, you can buy your URL and point it there. But until you're ready to spend $4,000 to have an actual branded app in the App Store, use their unbranded app and go through the Mighty Networks app. So some of my tips, Lauren.
Okay. Next one. So, Allison, I'm thinking of booking this cruise to Istanbul because they told me at the end of the 7 days, they're going to take my business for, a few $1,000s. And I'm going to have 100,000 followers on YouTube, subscribers, and they're going to blow my Instagram up. Should I book a cabin for my bestie too? Trick or treat?
This sounds like a trick.
Why, pray tell?
I don't know. Maybe I need to hear more information. Maybe I'm just.
Well, if it sounds like it's too good to be true,
Yeah.
it most likely is. And the reason
Yeah.
I bring that up is because, and that was a way out there example, but nonetheless, I used to.
It's actually not. People that are hungry
It's
for
not.
speaking and coaching, they'll take hidden promises.
And all those fake value pieces. Oh, and we're throwing this $3,000, bonus piece in free, stuff like that. And what I'm getting at, even before COVID, I would, I called when a lot of clients would come for coaching, and I'd find out that first thing we're going to break is that addiction you have to being an event groupie, going to all these events and paying for all these VIP packages and stuff, and nothing's changing but their panties and shoes. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, nothing of core need. It was always based on core wants. I want to go. I want to see Greece. But not what we need. Talk about that. How do we identify in this global economy what is a want or a need? Because when you're talking global, someone says, hey, let's meet in Prague, and I think we can do some business. Next thing you know, somebody is actually, believe it or not, getting a ticket and headed to Prague. How do we know the forest from the trees? And how do you know? Because we don't actually see a lot of the people we are forced to deal with globally.
Yeah, great questions, because I think you and I have, and this is where I go back to say, there's so many people that'll sell to you today. I mean, it's constant. And they say they've got the right solution for you. And you and I talk about how you have to do the right work. And, I've spent time, I've learned the business, written some books, do the interviews. And it makes me sad when people sell quick things. Now, I'm not saying that there's not, because I've bought
work that way, sure.
Yeah, I've bought into things that I'm like, this is aligned with my brand. This is aligned with what I need, and I can figure out how to market and leverage it. And how many people do you know buy things and then they never use them?
Wait a minute. I knew this question was coming. I was just going to write it down, but now I don't have to. Here it is. I'm going to see, vulnerable, be transparent, y'all. Listen, I went immediately back to 2 times I was sucked in by that same thinking, twice in the 80s. Number one, neither one of them worked. Seriously, I couldn't even give them away at a garage sale years later. Number one, Thigh Master. Number 2, Easy Glider. Remember the Easy Glider? It just showed them like skiing like they were on the Swiss.
Yeah.
I got that joint in my kitchen on the floor in my little apartment in Hollywood, and it was like I'm not even on the carpet, right? So anyway, yes, those quick little things like that. Let's all of these stories, and then we're gonna let Allison share one of her favorite excerpts from the book for you guys. I'm going to duck out. And but let me ask before we go to that, in the stories, and you have quite a few in the book, powerful people, successful people, how often did you hear them speak to the need for understanding and trusting our instincts?
Quite often. I think the interesting thing about entrepreneurs and business builders, and you can have so many people that have an entrepreneurial spirit, but have a life of responsibility. And that's okay. You can lay the groundworks and do the study and figure out the point in time when the timing's right.
Yeah.
Or you can be the world's best entrepreneur. Like you can be the world's best business builder in somebody else's business. Long ago, Lauren,
I never heard that before.
Yeah, you can be this entrepreneur. So long ago, when I was a single mother with my first child, I made a realization that if I was going to have 40 hours a week to work, I needed to make as much money as I could in that 40 hours a week. I didn't know anything about being an entrepreneur or other options. I just knew as a single mom, I needed to learn what other people knew,
right,
so that I could make more money in that 40-hour work week. And so that's why I said these, if you want to build a business but can't, then find another way. I digressed from your question, Lauren. You're give me your question again.
Girl, I am, my DNA is off that puppy. After I shoot it over
It's Friday
this
morning.
I
It's Friday
couldn't
morning of
remember
a
my
holiday
name if it
weekend.
wasn't on the screen. I'm just
No,
How about this? How about
Yeah.
this? Why don't we let you come in? Somebody out there, one of y'all has a memory. Put it in the comments. See, promise being fulfilled. Told y'all. So listen, and I want to. Will you set this up for us? This excerpt. Tell us why you chose it, and then I'm going to duck out. Why'd you choose this particular sharing?
It's actually early in the book, and I think it's because of this piece about measuring yourself against everybody else, and you have to have success as a team of one before a team of some. And it's kind of, so that's why I picked this. This was an entrepreneur I interviewed from Austria who, when he said it, I am like, this is real. This is authentic, what you're saying to me.
Good. And I'll tell you, I want y'all to know I really am interested in this reading, and it had nothing to do with me wanting to eat off camera. I'm kidding. Allison, take it away. Can't wait.
Okay. So here it is. This is from Building Your Brand. It has always been truly clear to me that better business knowledge delivers better business results. As a founder, you cannot afford to waste time or money. However, it is impossible for you to be an expert at every aspect of business. So while you hold your company vision, you need to identify the blind spots and figure out how to get them covered. Failure to understand and appreciate your personal strengths and weaknesses is the fine line between profit and loss. When I speak with company founders, I ask them about business lessons learned. Well, I get an array of answers. I think I received the most honest one from machine learning and natural language understanding expert Francisco Weber, who is the co-founder and CEO of Cortical.io from Austria, who said, "Don't believe your own bullshit." As a founder of multiple companies, a respected speaker on the topic of big data, and a technology futurist, I appreciated how blunt he was. He explained it in this way: it makes things simpler when you are honest with yourself about what you know and do not know. He went on to say that as a leader, you should not be afraid to tell your employees or even business partners how things are. Whenever you do not follow this role, there is a lot of energy involved in maintaining things working out. Francisco recommends that if you are in a situation where you can unashamedly express what you mean or need, then things stay simpler and it is easier to connect with the eventual solution. Essentially, Francisco's advice is be confident in what you know, be truthful in what you do not know, so the answers can make their way to you, and then you can gain the competency. So, Lauren, that is what I wanted to share with you.
Yay. Put some hearts on the screen, everybody. That was awesome. Very, very, very informative, enlightening. And we're in the last lap of the interview, about 15 minutes. And let's talk about, if we could, the mindset definition. I was thinking about that one before. The mindset definition. Now think about that, you guys. I didn't say the literal or the Webster's. I said the mindset definition of success. Some of us think that success means I have 25 employees, government contracts, whatever. That house with too many bathrooms to clean, whatever it is. What do you hear out there? What do you feel out there is the consensus, general consensus about how we should approach that mindset of success? What is it really? Is it abundance? Is it money? What is it?
For me, it's enjoying the journey. It's about making sure that there are bright spots in my day.
Okay.
It is certainly not about flashy cars or things. For me, it's about being able to take care of my family,
right,
and have joy while doing it. And because some days, as we said, are tough. There's a lot of real, big girl pants decisions happening all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the challenge with social media. And again, with these people selling you things. And Lauren, I know darn well, I had one pop up on my feed this morning where somebody was in quite a very big speaker selling things. And the photo of him is on a private jet. Like you can tell it's the interior of a private jet.
I know what that was.
And you and I both know that you can just rent the plane on the ground and go get your photos in the plane. And that's
there are people who will sell that to you.
And that's not success to me. Let me tell you.
That's not authentic either. It's not integral.
And let me tell you, as somebody who, was the first generation to go to college, and I joke and say when I grew up, I didn't know that a woman could be more than like a nurse or a school teacher. I really didn't, because nobody in my family had gone to college and no women had achieved anything. My first relationship was, I'm going to use the word tumultuous, but basically, as a woman, when you're in abusive types of situations.
I'm going to let you slide on that using a word more than 6 letters, because we got a rule on this show. For all of us 12th graders out there.
Yeah, well,
tumultuous, pick
don't
up from
want to lean into the sad story, but just my passion is about, again, helping people build a business and build a life that they want, and escaping from the lives that they don't want. And there's a lot to that. And I think, Lauren, you can relate to that so mindset is, again, this theory of I can do more tomorrow than today. What I am today doesn't define who I'm going to be tomorrow.
Right.
It is a journey. And like you said, I don't care. I hope I am 85 and still in pursuit of learning new things and sharing new things. My grandmother in her 80s used to teach senior citizen classes. She was the teacher for senior citizens younger than her.
I'm with grandma. I'm trying to be the black male Betty White.
That's fantastic.
I am. I'm not kidding. I am. They're gonna have to do something to set me down, because I'm gonna escape every one of those little Alzheimer's centers or dementia clinics or whatever they're gonna put me. I'm not claiming that. I'm not claiming that. So somebody was gonna put in the comment, don't be claiming that. You're right. You're right. So listen, Allison. You wrote this book because it was important to you. A certain amount of that person that you're describing this book is for was and is you, because that's how we get to these types of products and these end results, is because we've lived our way right on the front pages of them. And so as we get close to tie this up, what would you say to the person or the people out there who were on the front end of the very description of your own journey that you gave us, where you didn't know, you had no examples? What do you feel is the reason that you decided to not just sit there and just let us hear your voice, your narrative through the book, but it was important that you get the stories of successful people from all over the globe. Why was that so important? What do you hope people take from that?
Maybe, Lauren, you can hold up your little pen, not what does it say? Not
Through me, but
through
not
me.
from me.
Right. And I think that's part of it, right? And it's like the quote I read from Francisco and what I would just say to your listeners, we don't all have to be everything. There are great people that can give you wisdom. And if you are sitting here going, I don't have my own business today, and maybe you never will, or if you say, my goal is in 5 years to have a business, what do I need to start filling my head with, or the people that I need to surround myself so that when the time is right, I'm prepared. And I think, and also recognizing your stage of life. I shared very openly at the beginning that I have realities that are important, keeping the roof over my head, paying the medical bills for my son.
Right.
I have those things that are very real.
And when those things are so real, let me ask you this: if you're free to not answer, if it's a scab you don't want to pick, but I think it'd be important to share with everyone this. What is it that when those days are bearing down? Because we can make life look any way to others that we want.
Mm-hmm.
There's no shortage of smoke and mirror techniques out there. But what do you say to yourself, Allison, to get yourself through? How do you show up for Allison, on those days and in those places where no one is watching?
Yeah, great question. I certainly wouldn't tell anybody that there aren't moments of tears during the course. I mean, especially when you're any parent, and it doesn't matter what the situation is for your kid. When your kids have a bad day, you have a bad day. And there's worries like, am I giving my job enough? Am I giving my my mission, which is doing this podcast and helping people become better business builders? That less than feeling really creeps in.
Yeah.
And I also think, which is a whole nother episode, it's not this episode, of if you have had a really kind of tough childhood. And I know I put on my bling for you today and I got my red lipstick on and I'm looking all nice, but
you're lucky I couldn't find my tube. I'm just saying.
But you can't judge people's journeys. I had a very tough childhood for different reasons.
Sure.
and a lot of life lessons. And that kind of lesson thinking, even at your age, it creeps in and you have to put it back, which is why I'm such a big believer in, loving yourself so you can keep that lesson thinking to the side. Mm-hmm. And I will say this, I interview all these CEOs, and then there's always the conversation that happens when the mic is off.
Yeah.
And when the mic is off, they are just as real. And so we have to just remember that. And for me, the mic is off most of the day, right? Yeah. And you count your blessings and you say, okay, but this is what is good. I've got all these things that are going fine. So let's not dwell on the part that isn't today, because tomorrow's a new day.
That's balance. And the thing is, as we prepare to close up until another episode on Monday, I want to say this to you guys. Perspective is everything. It is. And remember, you don't want a flatlined life. Oh, it's just straight. Everything's perfect, smooth sailing. It's the ups and downs that are the ride itself, known as life, the experience. What is a journey? It's the distance between point A, where we're at, and point B, everything beyond where we're at. So a lot of great nuggets in here today. Again, you guys, at the bottom here, creeping slowly across the bottom, you'll see the website where you can head over and get your own copy of this great book. Go to disruptiveceonation.com. And also remember, tell everybody where they can catch the podcast, what day and time, and where's that platform? Maybe you could drop the link in the comments when we get out.
Yeah, go to disruptiveceonation.com and it
Oh.
lists new episodes drop on Wednesdays.
Oh,
and
okay.
It lists all of them and all the places that you can go to get it. And so, yeah, take a listen. There's something for everybody in this podcast. It's not just straight business. It's a lot of different things, and I hope you can find something you enjoy.
And the book is on there too?
There's a link to the book. The book is on Amazon. Everything's on Amazon, Lauren. You know, we feed the Amazon
But
beast.
when we go to the website, you're saying we can redirect straight to Amazon from there. Okay.
Absolutely.
I was wondering if there was one of. Oh, yeah. I want to leave. This is great. I'm glad I have it over here. Wrote it down. When you were talking about, those days, and the reason it's not to leave people down on a Debbie Downer moment, but to be encouraged, to honor our scars because they are immediate proof that there is such a thing known as healing amongst us. And if you honor them by showing them and offering them to the world is for nothing else maybe than just saying, look, I have one or two myself. When you do that, someone's going to point out and say, but what's that thing behind that scar? And you're going to look closer through a different lens and you're going to see it's the heart. It's the heart of the story, that road sidecar with that scar. It's waiting on you. It's waiting on me. It's waiting on us to give it permission to be. So tell your stories and share them so that others can live through what you have already accomplished. So I want to take that and remember, don't be afraid to cry like my good friend Ren Lagoon says. If tears were books, can you imagine how many wonderful libraries there would be in the universe? If our tears had words, can you imagine? Right. Find that truth inside yourself and share it. Allison Summers, always a pleasure. Please come back again and let us know what's going on with you. And again, you guys, I want to leave this across the bottom until we get out of here. And I want you guys to go out and have the best holiday weekend. Be safe. Make decisions that you can live with, literally, whatever it is, and respect the decisions of others. If you're vaccinated, good. If you're not, good. Just respect each other. Let's bless each other in the manner we want to be blessed and be that gift that we'd like to receive. Allison, I want to thank you again. Have a great one. Is there a football game tonight for Naperville North?
There is. And my son's an offensive lineman, and it's senior night. Parents get a giant head of their kids that they have to carry around.
You are so lucky we're not in town tonight. I would be out there following you. Anything to say? Allison, is that you behind that head? You're so lucky. Yes. Well, good luck. Tell the kids we love them. I can't wait. I hope you come to our party on the 18th.
Send me an invite.
You're doing it this weekend. So
okay, fantastic.
Okay. Thank you again. And thank you, as always. I'm so fulfilled from what you have done here today. And thank you for blessing us by joining us today. Join us Monday when my guest will be some rerun because I'll still be on vacation. But Tuesday, Fallon Flowers, she's got a coaching program to get young men and women ready for nursing school from some of the toughest places in the universe. Perry Powers with us on Wednesday from London. You remember Perry. And then Tucker Bearden. You remember him?
Oh, I love Tucker.
Back. Yep. Tucker will be here Thursday sharing what's all new in his world. And there's a lot to talk about. And then Gary Stewart wraps out the week on Friday.
You always have the best guests.
The world is filled with the best people. So it's not hard at all, like today. So thank you, Allison, and thank all of you. I'll see you Monday morning right out front for our next installment of Bathrobe Moments. See you then. Be good to yourself, but even better to others. Bye-bye.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine.